Little bit under the weather today, not exactly on my game, but we are still here to do the energy forecast for this week, because this week, more than anything else, it is important to stay on our game and know energetically what's going on, especially with all the national dynamics that we have going on right now. Two quick announcements before I begin. The United States House of Representatives pendulum check is available. I do hope to have out the pendulum kit so you can do your own pendulum checks. I do hope to have that kit out within the next day or so. And then announcement number 2, I know quite a few of you are waiting for that next psychic notes, psychic read video that I mentioned before that I've got coming up. Very interesting. Spirit team has me sitting on that. They said that there are a few other elements that they need to have fall into place for me today to make that message complete. As soon as that is ready and done, I will have that out to you. That's what I've got for announcements. Let me get the camera flipped around here so we can take a look at the graphs for this week. And first out of the gate, I got a bit of a surprise for you guys. Look at this. July 22nd through the 28th, 2024. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of me doing these energy forecasts, energy graphs. Look where I began, guys. This was the first energy forecast graph I ever did. It was almost a year ago at this time, and I just wanted to celebrate with you with the fact that I stuck with it. I kept going, and look what we have transformed this into. Look at that. From this to that. That's pretty impressive. Pretty steep learning curve over a year, and look what I'm able to provide for you in a fairly short scope every single week to help give you the lay of the landscape. So just wanted to celebrate a year out on this, and I can only imagine what is this all going to look like in another year, right? So let's go ahead and get started with this week. Here's the week we are in right now. Let's pan back, take a look at last week. Here's last week, the week that we just did. Coming back front and center, and then also moving over into next week, the week of July 14th. Don't have the theme, don't have it fully gridded out, but it will begin to give you an idea of what we're headed into next week. Here we are this week. I am recording this on Sunday. We have just come off of feeling the full hit of this Venus conjuncting Uranus headed into Gemini. We've had some pretty active Schumanns. This actually should be right there. We've had some pretty active Schumanns. We've had a CME, and the Schumann's graph that I'm going to put up right here. I want you to take a look at that mid-week hit and that anomaly that's going on there. If you haven't heard about this, you need to go watch Aaron Brown or some of the other Schumann's people. There's this whole upset that's happened in the Schumann's community because there's been a whole other vibratory sequence showing up on the Schumann's graph on Friday. It was right around Friday, July the 4th, the day of the signing of that big freaking bill, as Venus is headed into Gemini, conjuncting Uranus. Very big day. These have been very big energy days that we've been living through, including the Neptune going retrograde. Now, as we begin to pan down the week, I do want to give a nod that our first big hit out of the gate is Uranus leaving Taurus in those last degrees, moving into Gemini. This has played large, especially over the weekend. We are really feeling this. This is part of the reason I'm under the weather right now somewhat. This movement of Uranus into Gemini begins on the 7th up until August the 3rd, which I think I've got that date marked there because of retrograde. Don't quote me on that. But Uranus is going to be in Gemini all the way through to May 22nd, 2033. So this is a very big movement. From here, Spirit Team wants me to dive into the theme that is up here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. For 2 days, Spirit Team has been saying to me, don't succumb to the darkness. Don't succumb to the darkness. This entire week reeks of things coming apart, things spiraling, things coming unraveled. This is going to be a very easy week to get swallowed up. This is on the minus side, so it's going to be easy to get swallowed up into things. It's going to be easy to spiral. It's going to be easy to unravel. It's going to be easy to get sucked down that deep, dark hole this week, okay? So you're going to have to be very careful about do a great job of keeping tabs on your mental health, your emotional health, even your physical health. Now, I did have to pull pretty hard to figure out, like, oh my God, with all this going on, with everything that we're dealing with, what's the plus side? What is the plus side to this? There was an astrologer way back in the day, and she taught me, she's like, Dana, whenever astrology is taking away in one area, it's always going to be giving back somewhere else. And that's why even during the tough weeks, we got to look to the plus side. Well, what's the plus side on this? The plus side on this is that even though it's easy for things to unravel, this is going to be a great week to practice letting go. You just like, this is not a week to fight upstream, so this is a great week to practice letting go. Also, this is going to be the week that we look back and we go like, oh my God, there was the breakdown, there's the things coming apart, there's the unraveling, and guess what? That is the beginning of the breakthrough. That is the beginning of the transformative breakthrough. This week is a very defining, transformative point. Is it easy living through this stuff? It is not. Is it scary? It's incredibly scary. There's a lot of stuff about this that is not fun. But when these kinds of things line up, what that eventually means is there is an opening through that breakdown for the breakthrough and the transformation to come through. And as I begin to read through the astrological meanings of that, it actually says that. It says that in the astrology, but we're going to be living through some very uncomfortable things this week. And so this is my warning to you of like, keep your head screwed on, keep your wits about you. Don't move too fast on stuff. Notice the flow of things. Get out of the way if you need to. Don't fight upstream. Pay attention to what's going on. Make really good decisions. And if you got to let stuff go, you got to let stuff go. Now, the other plus side thing that I want to point out here is we've got a timeline jump in the middle of this. And it's not a foundational one. It's not a level 1. It's not a level 2. It's not a tough level 3. It's a level 5. It's a scripting layer. This is basically saying, be creative, dream a dream, change something. I mean, we've got all this transformative energy. You're going to be letting go of stuff. What could that new creative scripting force be coming in? And because it's a layer 5, it's a timeline jump layer 5 scripting layer, it's lighter. It's got some lift to it. So in all the darkness going on and the scary stuff and the uncomfortable stuff, we're being given an uplift to be creative and look at the top side and see, even out of all this stuff going on, and see what we could possibly do to bring good things into our lives for ourselves and other people to see how we can transform things. We've got that right in the middle of a week with an energy gateway that is going to give us transformative cellular coding. And in the middle of all of that, in this scripting layer, we've got a full moon of completion that is in Capricorn, focused on a heightened focus on career, public image, and achieving long-term goals. So that's plugged in here with some very other interesting energies going on. All right, so Spirit Team wanted me to flip the camera around here and say a few things, like there's some channels coming in, and they're basically saying it's going to be easy this week to lose your cool. It's going to be really easy this week to lose your cool, to trigger out, to flip out, to lose your head. Remember, Uranus surprises changes going into Gemini, where a lot of thought process happens. We're going to get our thought process really revved up with Uranus moving in Gemini. Uranus is going to be doing a lot, but that's one of the things it's going to be doing. And it is going to be easy to lose our heads, trigger out, then that goes through the rest of the body. We're getting the first few tastes of that right now. So Spirit Team really wants to get in front of you with a lot of love, a lot of compassion, and say, this is going to be a great week to walk around with a buffer zone, a little bit of emotional insulation if you can, little bit of room. Remember, there's that other unraveling energy of like, if things get a little bit heated, a little bit triggering, might be a good idea to walk away, let it go. I can hear spirit teams saying something like, there's going to be things that are like front and center, like that come front and center, especially because we've got like Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, all kind of mixing it up. Some of that is like, boundarylessness, and then some things really in our face. So it's going to be a weird push-pull. And then we've got Gemini, Uranus, Gemini, revving it all up. It's kind of like, I almost kind of get the feeling of like being in a bit of a washing machine, kind of. But Spirit Team is basically saying, if in doubt, walk away for 10 minutes. If in doubt, process for half a day. If in doubt, count to 10. Because, if you're feeling it, other people are feeling it. And the other thing I got to say, there is a lot of hurt going around. There's a lot of pain going around. There's a lot of fear going around, right? And so from that place, a lot of us are functioning from a place of trigger, a lot of fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So if you are working with people or you're out in public, you're dealing with friends and family, that kind of thing, just remember that that's kind of the energetic and emotional environment that we're in, especially this week. And it's going to be a great week to do, timeouts, give people the benefit of the doubt. Let things kind of come out in the wash, let things come around. I definitely know we're going to want to be in the face with a lot of stuff, and not a week to be doing that. Not a week to be doing that. That's a direct channel from Spirit World right now. So let me flip the camera around again. So let's talk about some meanings this week. I am going to get to the Uranus and Gemini thing, but Spirit World wants me first to talk about this root thing. This has been going on for a while. The Saturn conjunct Neptune. Neptune is now gone retrograde. Look at this. Saturn's going to be going retrograde. So we're going to have Saturn and Neptune conjunct retrograde back through Aries into Pisces. And look at this. It's connecting up with a sextile with Pluto retrograde. So there's a big churn going on with these. Let's take a look at what those meanings are for right now. So we're taking a look at Neptune retrograde in Aries, Saturn retrograde in Aries, sextiling with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. This is a period of intense self-discovery and potential transformation, right? Neptune retrograde Aries is about blurring of self-identity and confrontations with illusions of self-deceptions. Interesting. Saturn adds a level of self-responsibility and structure, especially with fiery tendencies. We've had a nod to that. And then the Saturn-Pluto connection is about supportive energies for the past, as well as revolution into transformation, breakthroughs, and change. Dun, dun, dun. We've got all this going on. This is going to be added into the transformation of Uranus headed into Gemini. Well, now let's take a look again at Saturn retrograde in Aries conjuncting Neptune in Aries. Remember, these two planets have been moving lockstep in a conjunct, and now they're beginning to turn together to go back into Pisces. What we've got now with them retrograding in Aries is a period of integrating practical, disciplined structures with spiritual, imaginative, and boundary-dissolving energies, particularly with contexts of new beginnings and assertive action. Whew. New beginnings, assertive action, change here, transformation here, breakthroughs and change. I want you all to remember that when you are feeling the whole thing about don't succumb to the darkness and it all feels kind of like it's coming apart, remember, breakdowns are going to give us breakthroughs and transformation. It is built into the astrology right at the turning point, people. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at this Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini, expect rapid technological advancements, revolutionary ideas, and a focus on communication and information. It will likely bring about significant changes in how we interact with technology, consume information, and perceive the world around us. Here's the highlights we need to be paying attention to. Key themes are about revolutionary ideas in technology, intellectual growth and exploration, disruption and change, that's going to be happening. Emphasis on freedom and individuality, that's great to hear. And it's also potential for hyperstimulation. What was Spirit Team talking about? You know, we got to take 5 this week. Then as far as potential impacts are concerned, this Uranus moving into Gemini creates changes in communication. It's going to reevaluate education. It's going to cause social and political shifts, interesting, and as well as personal growth and transformation. And then important considerations are, remember, Gemini is a twin, and so it may cause us to go into dualism very easily. So be very aware of your mental dualistic patterning and habits. Going to have to be careful with that. Also important considerations is because it's Uranus, this is about potentially causing chaos, and we're going to need to be in even a greater state of adaptability with this if we aren't already. And if you are noticing, Spirit Team did not have me pull cards from the Somatic Money Oracle deck. I am not sure what that is about. They want all of us focused on this. Very, very important right now. So we will pick up the card pulls when it's time to do that again. All right. So again, we've got a very big energy week ahead of us. It's very different than some of the other weeks that we've done. We're really going to have to shift some gears here. And I truly do believe, I'll be talking about it in some future videos, I truly do believe that what is going on astrologically this week is totally going to contribute not only into the national scene, but also the foundation of our very lives. So even though the national scene is very important, we're at a very critical place with it right now. We're at that transformative breakdown, breakthrough, critical place with it right now. But we're also in that space with our personal lives. Do not lose track of your personal life and the transformative things that you've got going in your personal life that this astrology is affecting for. And even though it feels very uncomfortable, some key things happening right now that potentially could be very exciting for us in a very transformational breakdown, breakthrough, move forward kind of space. All right, so that's what I've got for you for now. Make sure you keep moving forward to meet miracles along the way, and I will see you in my next video.